Good evening, SBA Nation. Welcome to the semi-final Stuart Bianasciola Fantasy Football Podcast. Our third to last of the year. We have this week our Championship Sunday podcast, and then our end of season recap and finale podcast, where we'll give out some awards and the trophy presentation, if there is to be one, and that will probably come to you at the end of January. So you'll get one about a month after the season ends. It is I, as always, your host, Terry Tugboat, who will be joining you today for our third to last podcast, second of the regular season. And we had a very interesting quarterfinal week go down. So let's talk about that right now. All right, we had 4 quarterfinal games go down, the first of which was simply a disgrace to our league to have a game like this. The Bower of London and Colby Bien just got flattened by Team Gabba, who nearly doubled his production. The Bower of London had a strong week from Jordan Love, and literally every other player on his roster was absolutely terrible. Bashal 2 in one of his running back spots, finished with negative points, and you just look at the group of guys he's got out there, and you really do wonder how on God's earth this is a playoff team. Undeserving of a spot, I think, would be fair criticism for him, and deserved to be flattened by Team Gabba, who rolled following 28 from JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, who had a 2-touchdown day in the Peach State versus the Falcons. George Pickens underperformed greatly for Team Gabba, but does not matter due to the fact that all of Colby Bien's players, with the exception of Jordan Love, also underperformed their projections. In fact, yes, everyone but Love busted according to what Yahoo thought they were going to produce. And a shout out to Jalen Waddle, who's having currently a bit of a resurgence now that he is the alpha dog in the Miami receiver room, putting up a very solid 18 points for Team Gabba as she advances to the semifinals. Our second semifinal game included a tight race between Lamar, you ready for it, and Nakua and my coffee. Andrea Bien did put down her brother Daniel thanks to a breakout performance from the rookie tight end Harold Fannin Jr., who dropped 25 this week in a game in which he helped the Browns lose by 2, which is their narrowest loss all season, considering they still have only won 2 games. Anyway, Lamar Jackson also with a strong performance, putting up 21. Good to see that he's back to his pre-injury form for the time being. Although Devontae Adams, not the biggest game and output from him, but didn't need it because a lot of Dan's guys just didn't do a whole lot. DJ Moore, 0.6 points. 3.8 for Kenneth Walker, 5 for Bretton Strange, and then you look at a guy like Zach Charbonnet, also just 8 points. So Dan, not a strong outing overall. I would say this win for Reen, she did obviously perform well, but was more to do with the weaknesses in her opponent's lineup rather than the strengths in her own, as she will move on to the semifinals and take on Albion, who took care of business against Lam Bam Thank You Ma'am. Kind of a vengeance game against for Al, coming off his first loss of the season to We're Not Worthy, Sean and Tommy Stewart. Al, so close to the perfect regular season, obviously still in contention for the championship, which was the ultimate prize, but still the best record in league history and a good season for Al as he moves on to the semifinals to, like we talked about, take on Andrea. No thanks, by the way, to 0.4 points from Jalen Hurts, finishing 18 full points under what he was projected. You look at Hurts, he turned the ball over 5 times, including 2 times on the same play. 3 turnovers on that play. He threw a pick. The guy who intercepted him fumbled the ball, Jalen Hurts recovered it and then proceeded to also fumble the ball. Just the first time since 1972 that one player has turned the ball over twice on one play. Kind of an interesting statistic for you, but Hurts, I think the Eagles and the rest of the NFL learned their lesson that he is not an NFL quarterback. He is, quite simply, as they said on the broadcast, trash, and should probably be benched for the Eagles' backup, who I believe is Tanner McKee. Anyway, yes, Al did not get an outing from Hurts and should probably place him on the bench this week and this Sunday, but we will see what he decides to do as manager. Christian Watson did lead the way, however, for Al, putting up 26, big-time boom above his projection. He had 2 touchdowns in a Packer win over the Bears, and for Lamb Bam, thank you, ma'am. Just a solid week from all her players. Didn't really have a lot of guys do a whole lot above their projection. Didn't really have a ton of busts other than perhaps Calvin Austin and Bam Knight, but did get 20 points from her kicker, Cameron Dicker, who went 5 for 5, putting total weather, including the game winner over the worst team in football. So congrats to Al for moving on. And then in our final semi-final matchup, we saw We're Not Worthy and Sean Stewart take down Drake May and friends with relative ease, I would say. 15 points, a comfortable margin of victory for him behind Devon Achane and his 17 points. Again, Sean, no guys across the 20-point threshold, but just had everyone produce in a big way for him, not named Patrick Mahomes. A.J. Brown, 16 points, 17 from Achane, 17 from Jacobs, 15 from Kyle Pitts, who we'll talk about in a minute, 15 from Woody Mark, 16 and 17 from his kicker and defense, respectively. And this is the type of roster that wins championships. You don't have to have the guy that produces 40, although he did get that to start off the week, but you just need everyone producing at a reasonable level to add your score. And 135 is what, in the fantasy world, experts consider the margin in which you cross 135, you have an 88% chance to win that week. In PPR leagues, that is, but we won't talk about what that means, or just know that our league is a PPR league, if anyone ever asks you. But yes, 135 widely regarded as the threshold in which if you cross, you have a very, very strong chance of victory. And Brady Shola, although we will give him his credit, didn't go down without a fight, produced 120 himself. Joe Burrow had a very good week against Buffalo despite throwing 2 picks. And then R.J. Harvey and Blake Corum, also key contributors for Brady. So we do give you the look now at the bracket. You look at the matchups, Al and Andrea, Sean and Gaba, her son versus mother matchup there in the 3-2 game, and then uncle versus niece matchup in the 1-4 game. This is a look at the bracket. After this, we will have the finals. Again, a little bit whelmed so far with the scores. I thought we were going to have some 160 to 180 shootouts. Some good games, if we forget that Colby Bien exists in the first place. But hopefully we get some high shootouts in the semifinals with our 4 highest seeds moving on. And then these are the matchups for the week. You talk about We're Not Worthy. Came into the game heavy underdogs against Team Gaba. And then Kyle Pitts played on Thursday. Kyle Pitts, widely regarded across the NFL, is a what could be story. He is a tight end that has wide receiver capabilities. He played college football at Florida and was an absolute monster, became the highest tight end ever drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, the highest tight end in NFL history, not just the Atlanta Falcons. But yes, I thought he was going to be a monster, had a great rookie season, has been plagued by injuries and just overall underproduction. But he put up 45 on Thursday with 3 touchdowns in a legacy Kyle Pitts, look what I can actually be when they throw me the ball and I'm on the field in good health. So We're Not Worthy now projecting to win by 40. So, I mean, that's just how the swing of fantasy seasons go. We talk about how one player can change the game, although a solid roster is equally, if not more important. But we mentioned those shootouts. He's projecting near 170. So this week, I think we're going to have a brawl team, Gaba, with her work cut out for her, especially after only getting 1.8 on Thursday night. Speaking of Thursday night performance, Lamar, you ready for it? Big game from her guys on Thursday. Mike Evans and I believe Emeka Egbuka producing big time for Lamar. You ready for it? But she is still projected to narrowly win against Albion. If Al were to go home at this stage, I think there would be a little bit of question marks after starting 11-0 and then ending the 12-0 rather, and then ending the season losing 2 out of his last 3. Not a good look for Al, although I do think he still is the favorite and will win this matchup. All right, that is going to do it for our semifinal SBA podcast. Thank you to all of our viewers who are still with us and have been with us throughout this fantasy season. Terry Tugboat gonna sign off, and we will see you next week for the championship game. And before we go, one last thing. Let us know what you think of the new intro song.